Okay, so good morning once again. So we have started with second section, and in the second section we are dealing with the details regarding the compression molding. Okay, details regarding the compression molding. So out of this compression molding, we have done with this mold heating part, mold venting. If you are not getting the screen or voice in between, just unmute and tell me. So then these two parameters are actually the basic parameters which are required for each kind of molding, heating and venting. I told you the purpose also. Okay, heating will make the allow the material to flow easily, and venting will allow the trapped gases or trapped air to escape from the mold cavity. Then we started with the design aspect, different design aspects of the compression molding, and we started with the ejector pin. The ejector pin will act simply as like bouncer. We'll revise it fastly and then we'll come to the today's topic. So ejector pin, a simple act of ejector pin or the role of ejector pin is it will act as a bouncer. Okay, bouncer in the sense it will simply push the compressed component out of the mold cavity. Okay, it will just push out the component out of the mold cavity. Then we have gone for the different parameters which are required for the compression molding design. Okay, like the bulk factor, okay, projected area, clamping force, land dimension, and the ejector pin length. Okay, then we started with the bulk factor. Okay, actually we generally deal with the bulk modulus. Okay, but here it is quite different terminology. It is bulk factor, just similar to this only in the fluid mechanics or in the another your subjects like manufacturing process. This bulk modulus is defined, not manufacturing, the strength of material. In bulk modulus is defined as this compressive stress upon the compressive strain. Okay, here also in the same way concept is the same, but only the way of application is a different way of application is different. So this bulk modulus, sorry, bulk factor, which we are putting it with the capital K. So it is the ratio of volume of raw molding compound. So maybe the powder or the pellets with the volume of finished solid piece. Okay, so volume of loose powder to the volume of product. Okay, that is the bulk factor. So bulk factor will be given in the problem, and the volume of product you can easily calculate from the design. Okay, dimensions. So this K, you know, volume of product, you know, easily you can calculate volume of loose powder, volume of loose powder. Okay, so this you will have to calculate at the start. Okay, first step will be to calculate the volume of product. Okay, by using bulk factor, then calculate the volume of loose powder. Getting it? Okay, so these are the first two parameters which are required to calculate at the start. Then we have seen a different aspects of bulk factor, like it depends or it will have the effect of fillers also. Okay, because apart from raw material we are adding the fillers also. Okay, fillers will provide the strength to the component. Getting it? So sometimes this factor is also considered. Then we have seen the formulation for the bulk factor. Basically, apart from basic raw material, we require to add some extra material. Okay, if suppose mold size is this size component we are going to manufacture, so we'll have the volume of the raw material of this size only. Okay, at the start. But see, while compressing, it is going to compress down, so we require more volume. Apart from that apart from that, to compensate each and every gaps, we need to have 10 to 20% extra material. 10 to 20% extra material which will compensate for any gap. Okay, any void. Okay, so this 10 to 20% extra material is also required to consider, so that bulk factor is always multiplied with the this 1.1 or 1.2 factor. Why? Because we need this extra material to compensate for extra compression, okay, or the pressure variation. Right, then dimensions of powder are also important, because I told you there are two types of grains. One is a fine grain, another is a coarse grain. Okay, coarse in the large size, fine in the small size. Okay, obviously this is a common sense part, that if there is a fine powder, you can easily compress that. But if there is a coarse material, a large size grains, then it is quite difficult to compress. Okay, so it needs some extra pressure. But with the small pressure also, this fine material can be compressed. Okay, that is the basic. Maybe you have studied it in a metallurgy also. Okay, then then the different details of the bulk factor, and then second point we discussed about the projected area. Okay, projected area, I told you this is the effective area. Effective area. Okay, okay, here we have given the example of projected area. So this is the kind of product that we are going to manufacture, and this black colored cavity is there. Okay, this is a through hole or through cavity. Okay, it means from top to bottom. So in that case, only the area where material is getting accumulated, only the area where material is getting accumulated is called as the projected area. Okay, so if you take the complete dimension of component and you will deduct this cavity dimension, then you will get the exactly projected area. Okay, it will be different for the different component depending on the design. Getting it? Okay, now based on this you are going to get the clamping force. You are going to get the clamping force. Clamping force is the force required to keep the mold closed. Okay, here I will show you. Right, okay. So only one purpose of the clamping force is to keep the mold closed. Otherwise, what will happen? The gases outside atmospheric air or gases will try to enter into the cavity. Okay, and this will then trace a path which will create an voids. Okay, I told you this kind of component will be there. So in between that, this kind of voids may possible because of trapped gases. To avoid this, we are keeping the mold very tightly closed, and to keep it closed tightly, we need a clamping force. Okay, so we need a clamping force. Just a minute. Right. Then we have seen the different aspect of clamping force, and then we have gone for the land dimension. Okay, land dimension is nothing but the part where the top mold is landing. I'll show here. Okay, so if you check out here, we'll close this thing's revision fastly. Okay, this here. So this part which is compressing the material is landing at this juncture. Okay, this is called as a land. Where it is a landing. Okay, so this is also called as the landing bars, and this is the landing area. This is the landing area where it will land. Right, then we started with the actual formulas required for the solving the problem. Okay, the first as I told, it will be a bulk factor. So bulk factor, simple, volume of loose product by volume of product. Then land dimension, normal size mold 4 to 9 millimeter, large size mold 9 to 16 millimeter. If not given, you can take the average also. Design of loading chamber. This was also important part. Loading chamber means what? The chamber in which we are compressing the raw material. Getting it? Okay, so additional point I have shared you here that so we cannot have this exactly vertical surfaces in the mold cavity. Okay, so that mold can be the component can be easily ejaculated. We are having this flare. What is the concept? This is called as a flare. Flare is nothing but this is angular slope. Okay, so this angular slope will be there, so that component can be easily removed. What is the limit for that flare? It will be 0.33 to 1 degree, right? Then how to calculate the loading chamber? Simple formulation. Depth of loading chamber will be volume of loose powder minus volume of cavity divided by projected area. Okay, projected area also we discussed in details. And then flash thickness. Okay, flash thickness mostly not given. You will have to consider this as a 0.13 millimeter. Okay, flash means what? Whatever 10 to 20% extra material we have added in the previous slides, we have seen 10 to 20% extra material we have added. So this extra material will not be compensated in the cavity. Some part it will be compensated, but not all. So it will try to flow over the land. Getting? Okay, it will try to flow over the land. So this extra part. Getting? This one here. So this it will flow over this land surface. land area, and this is called as a flash. Okay, so that flash thickness is also required to consider. If not given, it will be simply 0.13 millimeter. These are the assumptions. Clamping force, easy to calculate. A compression pressure multiplied by projected area. Okay, projected area already we have calculated. Compression pressure will be given in the problem. Okay, if not given, it will depend on the two parts, the type of material. If the phenolic material, it is 158 to 211. If urea or melamine material, it is 79 to 105 kg per centimeter square. Then design out the ejector pin. Now ejector pin is a simple component which will act as a bouncer. It means to remove the component from the cavity. Okay, but this ejector pin is, or the dimension of the ejector pin depends on the three different factors. Okay, these factors are L1, L2, L3, and the addition of this L1, L2, L3 will give you the ejector pin length, right? So how to calculate the ejector pin length? L1, the part of ejector pin, so it will depend on the thickness, wall thickness of the part, that is a dp. Okay, wall thickness you can easily get from the design of the component. So this is the component. Okay, so this is the wall thickness, hitting it. Okay, this is the wall thickness. So 5 times wall thickness is the L1. Ejector stroke, what is the mean of ejector stroke? So this is the height of the component, getting it. Okay, so if you want to remove the component completely from the cavity, so you will have to push from this end to this end. So it is nothing but the height of the component or the length of the component. So that dimension itself will be the ejector stroke, and another one is the small allowance, okay, which will require to pass from the mold surface. That is a 5 millimeter. Okay, so these three dimensions will combinedly, when you will add it, you will get the length of ejector pin. Then we have solved the one problem also. Okay, simple component. Okay, additional problem we'll solve it in a practical, getting it. Okay, simple component we have designed by using the compression molding process. This was the length of the component or the height of the component, and this is the wall thickness, and you can easily calculate. Okay, see, bulk factor is given, you can calculate loose powder. Compression pressure is given, you can calculate clamping force. Area of the projection you can calculate from here. For ejector pin length, this height is given 2 centimeters. So L1 equal to 5 into 4 millimeter. Wall thickness is 4 millimeter. L2 equal to 2 centimeter and L3 equal to 5 millimeter allowance. Add this, you will get the ejector pin length. Okay, simple and easy. Right, only some couple of considerations or assumptions are there. Based on that, you can solve the problem easily. Right, so in the last lecture we solved this problem, we calculated each and every dimension. Any kind of problem, any kind of design, follow this process. Okay, it will be a same process for all kind of design. Length of ejector pin, and at the end we calculated dimension of punch, and I discussed in a detail about this dimension of punch. Okay, this was the component. Accordingly, this is the inside dimension of component will define the punch. Okay, so this 1.6 centimeter, sorry 1.6 centimeter, how you have calculated? Total length is this much and reduce the wall thickness. Okay, this is the 1.6. okay, 1.6 centimeter. Okay, and that's how 3.2, how it is calculated? Just total distance 4 centimeter minus this wall thickness, you will get the width also. Okay, that's how the dimension of punch is calculated. So total 8 factors are there which are required to calculate it while solving the problem of compression mold. Okay, so that's what the things we have discussed. Now we'll start with our today's topic, that is transfer mold, technology of the transfer mold. Okay, so I told you at the start only, the transfer mold is a similar kind of molding as like compression molding, just advanced version of compression molding. Okay, so we'll have some details about the transfer molding, and then we'll close this chapter. Okay, so this is the last part of the unit, the technology of transfer mold. Getting okay. So transfer molding is similar to the compression molding. Transfer molding is similar to the compression molding. So see what is happening in the compression molding if I'll simply define. So this is going to be a top mold cavity. This material will be poured inside this cavity, and one punch will push this material inside this cavity. Okay, that's what the simple mechanism, if I want to define. This is the compression molding. But advanced version of this is nothing but the transfer molding. Okay, what is the advanced in the compression molding so that it is called as a transfer molding? We'll see it now. Now, transfer molding is similar to compression molding in that carefully calculated, pre-measured amount of molding compound is used for molding process. Okay. The difference is, instead of loading the polymer into an open mold, now this sentence is important, how it is different from compression mold. Instead of loading the polymer into an open mold, the plastic material is preheated. Plastic material is preheated and loaded in holding chamber. Loaded in holding chamber called as pot. Only one difference. You will understand everything with one figure also. What we are doing in the compression mold? Putting this raw material inside this cavity, and then by using some punch, we are compressing. Wait a minute, I think I lost my connectivity. Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay, now hope you are getting my screen. But just do one thing. If you will not get my voice or screen in between, rather than putting a message, just unmute yourself and remind me. Okay, I am on the different screen now. If you will not get the screen or voice properly, just tell me in between. So this was the part that we have seen. Right. Okay. So these are the some main parts of the transfer molding. See, same as kind of compression molding, but only some additional parts are there, like transfer pod. plunger, gating system, heating system, cooling system is already a part of any kind of molding process, right? Okay, so this transfer pot and plunger is additional, okay, and some kind of gating system is sometimes also required additionally, right? Okay, so here you will understand it easily. Whatever the parts I discussed now, I told you, you can see all the parts here also, right? Okay, so this is a simple sketch of the transfer molding, right? At the top you are observing, at the top you are observing the plunger. Then there is a molding compound, which is shown with the yellow color. This molding compound is filled in a transfer pot, okay, keep it in mind. In the compression molding we used to fill it in a mold cavity. Here now we have kept it in a transfer pot. Are you getting the transfer pot? Then this transfer pot is connected to the mold cavity by using sprue. Okay, so I should not discuss about the sprue now. In the manufacturing process we have gone for the detailed discussion about the sprue and its design. Okay, so this transfer pot is connected to the mold cavity with the sprue, okay, which will give the access for the passage of material from pot to cavity. And at the bottom, as regular structure as like compression molding or any other molding, there will be a mold cavity, and at the bottom it is a ejector pin. Okay, it is a ejector pin, right? Now the material now what is happening here? So at the start, instead of putting the material directly into the mold cavity, the material is kept in the transfer pot. Okay, sometimes it is a preheated material, or you can heat that material in the transfer pot also. Okay, and heating will doesn't require any such complicated mechanism. A simple induction coil also can heat the material. Okay, you can wound the induction coil around the transfer pot, it will heat the material, not an issue. So that heated material is kept in transfer pot, and the mold remains closed, okay, until the material will enter and get cured, right? So now once this material is kept inside this transfer pot, okay, the mold boxes are closed. Now here, now what is happening here? Just check the two figures carefully. The plunger is outside this transfer or molding setup. Okay, in the second figure you can check it now. This yellow colored compound, which is shown with the yellow color material, previously it was in a transfer pot. Now when you will push the plunger, mostly with the hydraulic plunger or ram. So when you will push the this plunger, this material is transferred from transfer pot to sprue, and from sprue to cavity. Okay, so it will be traveling from transfer pot, sprue, and then mold cavity. Okay, simple thing. Okay, get the idea. See, it was here in the transfer pot, and in the second, see here it is transferred to the mold cavity, right? Now here this sprue is a part of our gating system. Getting okay, simple thing. Now what will be there if similar kind of component is required to manufacture by the compression molding? This setup is not required. You can directly put the material inside the cavity and compress it. This sprue and extra plunger requirement will not be there. Okay, but here it is required because we are transferring the material from the another cavity to the main cavity. Okay, now this is the final component. Okay, not the first one. Two figures I have shown here. Okay, two sketches. The first one is with the uh, that extra pin also. Are you observing at the top? Okay, but this is not a part of actual component, it is coming with the sprue. Okay, so this is required to remove by using the finishing operation. What the sketch I have shown it separately at the bottom, that is the actual component required. Okay, once again revise this sketches, you will get the idea. Preheated material inside the transfer pot, push it with the plunger, it will pass from the sprue, and then it will go to the mold cavity, and it will be compressed. Okay, and finally you will get this kind of component. Right now, okay, so there are some advantages and there are some disadvantages also. Okay, I think you got the process now properly. So what happens, the transfer molded parts inherently have less flash, obviously. Okay, in the compression mold what is happening, there is a case of parting line. Okay, in the landing part, you have seen that the excess material is used to flow over the land area, and that was creating the extra features that is called as flash. Okay, but that flash will not be here. Okay, flash will not be here. Simply when material will transfer from sprue, it will directly go to the cavity. Okay, so this flash which is undesirable, this flash part will not be there, but it will be there in the compression molding. Because why flash is not there? Before entering raw material inside the mold cavity, mold boxes are completely closed, so there is no passage for the escape of material apart from mold cavity. So it will directly go to the mold cavity, no any passage for the escape of the material. So that flash will not be there. But have you seen this first one sketch? There is a one extra this hammer like, or sorry, not hammer like, rod like structure, which is not a part of component. It is because of the sprue. Are you observing here? It is because of the sprue. So this is also wastage. Are you getting? Though flash is not there, this extra part we are getting, which is not going to be part of final design. So it is a sprue, okay, that is required to remove by using finishing operation. So though flash is not getting, so scrap we are getting in the form of this gating system, okay, in the form of sprue. So that was the there in the second, that is there in the second statement. Transfer molding still produces more waste material than compression molding because of sprue. Getting it? Okay, so this sprue will be as like waste material. One of the key advantages of transfer molding over compression molding is that different insert such as metal prongs, semiconductor chips, dry composite fibers, ceramics can be placed positioned in the mold cavity before polymer is injected or drawn into the cavity. Okay, so now what is happening? Inserts. Why inserts are required? I told you. I'll give you one example also. See, nowadays you have seen that pins, pins or plugs used in this electrical system. Okay, pins or plugs. Now these pins or plugs are coming with the screw, nut and bolt arrangement. You can remove that. But previously, if you see the older ones, these were going to be an intricate part of that plug body, not adjusted with the nut and bolt. Okay, so if you so see, today we can remove that, we can change another one, but in older days it was not there. Okay, once the pin is scrapped, everything is scrapped. Okay, so that type of inserts actually required. Okay, inserts in the, I mean, uh, before molding itself you will have to put that metallic material or any other material inside that particular component. Okay, that is called as the inserts. Another one example, if I have to give that example of fan setup, I have given, had given in the last lecture also. Okay, one bushes are there which will act as a what we can call insert. Okay, so these inserts you can easily place before the material will enter into the cavity. Now the question will be, why it is not possible with the compression molding? It is possible, but the issue is that in the compression molding we used to have higher pressure. Getting it? Okay, to compress the material, and because of the higher procedure, there is a pressure, there is a maximum, sorry, high possibility of displacement of this inserts. So insert must be placed at the proper location. Okay, so because of pressure or the pressurized flow of material, there is a possibility of displacement of this inserts. So that is having the very less possibility or less chances in case of transfer molding. This ability makes the transfer molding the leading manufacturing process for integrated circuit packaging and electronic components with molded terminal pins, stud connectors. Okay, okay, that is how it is mentioned. electronic components with molded terminals. Are you getting? Okay. So it is not going to be, so it, this is not manufactured by assembly design. Assembly design means what we are doing in the assembly design, we are having the separate parts and we are assembling that. And see, here what is expected, built up insert. It means in the, when the material was in the liquid stage, that time only we are putting that insert, and when it is cooled down, that will become and a part of component. Okay, so that will become a part of component. So that type of components can be easily manufactured by using the transfer molding, right? Now there are two types of transfer molding process are there: pot transfer, or it is called as a resin type transfer molding, and another is a plunger transfer molding. Okay, as such, if you will see the figure, you will not find any major difference, but this is just because of the process followed for the transfer of material. Okay, in the pot transfer there is going to be a transfer pot where the material is stored before putting it into the mold cavity, and then it is transferred through the sprue to the cavity. And in plunger transfer molding, a plunger will inject the charge. Okay, I'll have the comparative figures also, sketches also, you can see it here. The first one is the for pot type transfer molding or resin type transfer molding, and second one is a for what we call it as plunger transfer molding. First one is a pot transfer molding, second is a plunger transfer molding. Now see the difference very carefully. Mostly the component is I think component is the same also. See, in the first three figures horizontally, first three figures, the first one which is for the pot transfer molding, right? So there is a one pot transfer pot, the material or the charge, which is also called as a preform. Figure 1 part A. So that material is kept in the that transfer pot, and this ram will push that material inside the sprue and the cavities. Look at the second figure of the first section. Getting it? Okay, so ram will push the material from the transfer pot. Okay, and then it will fill the cavity, and figure number 3 you will get the molded part. Okay, so from the bottom it is pushed by the ejector pin. Now check out. Okay, now check out the second section, lower part. It is for the plunger type transfer molding. Okay, so charge is kept in the cavity, and there are lateral cavities are there. There are lateral cavities. The material will directly flow to the lateral cavities because of the pressure from the plunger. As such, there will not be a transfer pot. Directly material will be kept inside the cavities. First of all, large cavity where the plunger will push the material inside the smaller cavities. Smaller cavities are going to be part of component. Okay, so very small difference. Okay, very small difference. Two processes: pot or resin type, and second is a plunger type. Now there are some comparative parameters in comparison in between transfer, compression, and injection molding. Okay, so if you check out the raw material or the polymer, so it is almost the same, the what the material you are using for compression molding or even the injection molding. Similar type of thermoset or elastomers you can use for the transfer molding, so no any as such a difference. Charge preheating, major difference. What is happening in the compression molding? This preheating part is not there. Getting it? Okay, so this, if you recall the discussions regarding the injection molding, there was one large barrel. In that barrel there were so many heating coils, and that heating coils used to heat the material inside the barrel, and through the nozzle, I am talking about the injection molding. Through that nozzle, this rotating bar is pushing the material inside the mold cavity. That was the process for the injection molding. Same process here. there is a preheating inside the transfer pot, and then preheated material is pushed by the plunger into the cavity. Okay, so this preheating is the major difference between the compression molding and the transfer molding, but it is similar to the injection molding. Okay, then the shapes. Okay, see, as we are putting the material by using sprue mechanism, and size of the sprue is very small, so any kind of intricate shape you can easily obtain by using this transfer molding. But if there is a large size component having a less complicated shapes, then compression molding is preferred. Whenever there is a complicated or intricate shapes are there, possibly the transfer molding is preferred over the compression molding. And inserts, we discussed, inserts are possible with transfer molding rather than the compression molding. These are some of the advantages: fast setup time and lower setup cost. So setup time in the sense, see, once you will push the material inside the mold cavity, again you can immediately fill up the material inside the transfer pot. Uh, you need not to wait to retrace it. You need not to wait to retrace the plunger. Okay, sorry, top part. Immediately once the transfer pot is empty, put the second material. Okay, but just ensure that the component is removed from the cavity. Lower maintenance cost. No, as such complicated design means lower maintenance cost. Plastic parts with metal inserts can be made, discussed. Design flexibility. Okay, as I told, intricate shapes can be easily manufactured by using transfer molding. Dimensionally stable, uniform thickness of parts, and large production rate. Okay, what is happening in the compression molding? See, when we are applying the pressure on the raw material, you cannot ensure that equal amount of pressure is applicable for each and every point. Okay, so we cannot ensure that the material which is directly in a close contact with the plunger surface or the ram surface will feel a high pressure, and the material or the points which are far away from the plunger will feel a low pressure. Okay, so that is not happen, that doesn't happen mostly with in case of transfer molding. Large production rate, as I told you, there are separate sections so that you can, once the material will escape from the transfer pot, you can once again fill it. Wastage of material. Okay, I told you, here we have seen sprue extra material, okay, which is not going to be a part of final component, so this wastage will be there. Production rate lower than the injection molding. Okay, not compression molding. Okay, obviously, see, injection molding is a very fast process because of this rotating type barrel. Getting it? Okay, see, if you I am making generalized statement. If the process can be done by two ways, either reciprocating type or rotating type, any kind of process, not I'm not talking of the molding, any kind of process, if it is possible with the reciprocation medium also and rotating medium also, so you can, a general common statement or general sense also, see, you can have more speed in rotation, but you cannot have similar kind of speed in the reciprocation. Are you getting? Because inertia plays very important role in the reciprocation. Okay, so inertia will resist the fast movement of that particular component. Okay, so inertia plays major role in the reciprocation. So whenever there is a reciprocation up and down, right and left, okay, so reciprocation speed is lesser. And you check the rotation, anywhere you check the rotation, speed of the rotation is very high. Okay, because inertia play the role in the direction of rotation, but in case of reciprocation, inertia will play the role in the direction of opposite direction of movement. Okay, that's why. Forget. Air can be trapped in the mold. Okay, it happens in case of second process. Plunger type process. What is happening in case of plunger type process? Sometimes mold is kept open before entering the material inside the cavity, right? So that there is a possibility of trapping the air. Again, air can be trapped inside the sprue and transfer pot, which will obviously pass to the mold cavity. Okay, so that is also possible. Less issue, but trapping is possible. But most of the times, trapping is huge in case of air trapping is huge in case of compression molding. These are some of the applications as like compression molding, but some complicated shapes: aerospace and automobile parts, bathroom fixtures, car bodies, helmets, boat hulls, wind turbine blades. Okay, these are, if you check the wind turbine blades, boat hulls, and aerospace and automobile parts, these parts are very delicate, not delicate in the terms of not the strength, delicate in the terms of what we can say. See, the dimensioning or shaping of the part is required with the proper exactness. Means whatever the design is provided, we need the parts with very less tolerance, very less allowance. Okay, so exactness is required in case of wind turbine also, because wind turbines are also designed very carefully. Getting it? Okay, so that exactness, maybe shape will be simple or intricate, but that can be possible with injection, sorry, transfer molding rather than compression molding. So intricate shapes are mostly done with the transfer molding. Now, this is some new point: automation in the transfer molding. Okay. Now, rather than looking at the points, we'll go to the figure. You will easily see it. Right. Okay. Check out. Now, you imagine by your own. This is the process. I have shown it here. So, what are the points or the locations where I can go for the automation? See, automation, the purpose of automation is simple. There should be a very less interference of laborers or workers. What will happen? This is accuracy is possible. More accuracy is possible with the machine than the man. Okay, that's why, and the speed of the production also. So this is the setup, simple setup, and you can imagine easily that where we can provide the automation. First thing, plunger, there is a movement of plunger. Okay, maximum movement of plunger. So rather than going for manual movement, you can go for the automatic movement of plunger. You know the distance traveled by the plunger, so you can easily program that. Okay, so automation is possible in the movement of plunger. Getting it? Okay, so through the plunger we are putting the pressure over the material. So this pressure is not a limit, or this range of the pressure is not kept random. This is a fixed range. So this pressure sensors can be kept over this surface, so that it will sense the pressure, it will give the pressure exactly, and with the range of pressure you can adjust the movement of plunger. Are you getting what I am telling? You can put up, you can set up the pressure sensors over the surface, and as per the need of the pressure you can manage or manipulate or adjust the movement of plunger. Okay, so this automation with feedback mechanism. What is the role of plunger? Putting the pressure. So this feedback mechanism will be done by the pressure sensors. Getting it? Okay, so this loop will be closed. Okay, so here also you can provide the automation. Another one thing is that we are going for the preheating. So thermal sensors can be used. Again, heating is not done randomly. A proper temperature range is required. So this can be done by using heat sensors. Getting it? Okay. So heat sensors can be connected with heating elements. So here also again heating elements with feedback mechanism. Feedback mechanism will be given by thermal sensors. Getting it? Okay. Here also you can provide the automation. Mold box closing and opening. Mold box closing and opening. So here also there is a movement of two mold boxes. So this can be also made automated. Getting it? Okay. Because whenever there is a closing of mold boxes, it is done with some a particular amount of pressure or force, what we are calling as a clamping force. So you need a particular level of clamping force which can be easily managed by the through the automation. Getting it? Okay, so this movement also can be managed by using the automation. Next, okay, I have not still shown you the pointers, still just looking after the figure or the sketch or the setup, we are deciding where automation is possible. Again, you can simply think, where is the movement of ejector pin. Getting? Through the ejector pin we are removing the component from the mold cavity, so we know that path traced by the ejector pin, we know the pressure required to force the component out of the cavity. So can we automate that? Yes. Okay, so this movement of ejector pin also can be automated. Okay, so these many kinds of automations are possible. Let's see what is given. If we missed anything, material handling, yes. Feeding system in transfer pot, yes. Mechanism of heating, continued. Feedback control system for cooling process, okay, that we remind. Okay, so this cooling or curing is done in the mold cavity. Again, you can provide the simple thermal sensors, and based on the temperature range we can manage the mold openings. See, when mold is opened, when component is properly cooled, cured. Okay, so by using thermal sensor that can be managed easily. Automatic pressure application, yes, and automatic ejector mechanism. Okay, so these are some of the locations or the pointers for which we can go for the automations. So already transfer molding is faster than compression molding. Transfer molding is useful for the complicated or intricate shapes. Additionally, if we go for the automation, so more speed, more production. uh, we cannot say the more intricate shapes because it totally depends on the process, not the automation. Okay, so speed of the production, accuracy of the production, quality of the parts can be maintained properly by using this automation. Okay, I have given the purpose also, okay, at the top, for fast rate of production and improvement in the quality. Okay, so these are the basic two reasons why automation is required or automation is possible in case of transfer molding. Right, so I think time is up. Right, okay, so these are some of the points regarding the transfer molding. So in your exam, possibly there will be a single question on the transfer molding. Explain in detail about the transfer molding and automations or possibility of automation in the transfer molding. Okay, you can write on it easily. So automation in these pointers, these are the some of the applications mostly in the aerospace industry and in the automobile industry. Advantages: fast setup, flexibility, intricate shapes, larger production rate. But disadvantage will be wastage of material. Okay, two types are there: pot transfer or resin type molding and plunger transfer molding. So this is the process of transfer molding. These are the main parts of transfer molding: transfer pot, plunger, gating system to transfer the mold material from the uh, transfer pot to the cavity, then heating system, cooling system, mold cavity, and ejector mechanism. These are required. One system is setup is a common one. When you will go for the automation, obviously additional setup is required. Right. Okay. So we'll close with this. Just a minute. Okay. If you check the syllabus, we are done with the fifth chapter also. Sorry, fourth unit also, right? Okay, so this was there in the fourth unit, the basics of the compression molding, then the design of the compression molding, basic design process of the compression molding, and then some of the part regarding the transfer molding. Actually, I have the two videos, good videos for the transfer molding, but because of the connectivity, we'll see it in the next lecture. Okay, just remind me in the next lecture. We'll go through that videos also, so you can get the process, you will get the process easily, right? So just wait, we'll have the attendance and then we'll close the session. So I will call the numbers, and once I'll call the number, okay, I'm not going to share the screen now. I'll just call the number, so I'll note it down, and once I'll call the number, you can leave the session. Okay. So roll number 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 22, 23, 24, 25, 34, 35, 42, 44, 45, 46, 49, 50, 51, 53, 55, 58, 62, 63, 64, 65, 68, 73, 77, and who else is remaining?
Sir,
Yes,
Namrata Parvat here.
yes.
Sir, that we haven't received any mail from AOL,
From?
that K12.
Acha, okay, okay. I'll check it today. I'll
Means
just.
sir, they said त्यांनी आम्हाला सांगितलं होतं की 30 पर्यंत मेल येईल त्यांचा की तुम्हाला पोस्टपोन केलेली तारीखचा म्हणजे
Okay,
त्यांनी म्हटलेले ना जून मध्ये सुरू करतील म्हणून. मग त्यांची
okay,
एक मीटिंग झाली त्यामध्ये ते काय म्हटले की जसं ना तुम्हाला दुसरी इंटर्नशिपची ऑपॉर्च्युनिटी मिळाली तर तिकडे जावा इथे वाट बघत बसू नका असं पण म्हटले ते.
acha,
मग त्यांनी
acha.
आम्हाला घेणार आहेत का नाही ते एक्झॅक्टली क्लिअरच नाही आहे.
Okay, okay. No problem. I'll check it today and I'll get back to you.
ओके सर, थँक यू.
Yes. Okay, okay. Yeah. Good day.